Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fun Shoot Podcast, where I, Jong Clemente, talk with light shapers and image makers about artistry and the process of creativity. Today is part 2 of my sit down with the amazing photographer Theik Smith.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Awesome. We had such an amazing time in part 1, just like sitting down talking smack, talking photography, talking life, talking about creepiness, that we had to cut the episode down into. So episode 2 is coming right at you right now. And a little housekeeping before we start, as I turn the background music down, is that the Fun Shoot Podcast comes out most Wednesdays on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify. Just search Fun Shoot Podcast. Please leave us a like, a couple of stars, rate and review. It helps with the content. But you can also visit the Fun Shoot Podcast website at jongclemente.com/funshoot. There you can see the images that we discuss through our conversation. Please follow the Twitter and Instagram accounts of the podcast at Fun Shoot Podcast. And you can send us comments and questions at funshootpodcast@gmail.com. You can also participate in the show by leaving a voicemail. Just call 347-934-9594. If it's appropriate, we'll probably sync it with a future episode or just discuss it with our future guests. If it's inappropriate, I will just listen to it by myself in my bedroom. But again, we have here Theik Smith, photographer extraordinaire. Welcome back again, Theik.
Thank you so much for having me, bro.
So we had like an amazing, just flowing conversation in episode 1.
Yep.
But the Fun Shoot Podcast is where, I typically align my passion in photography with other people that have passions as well. So most of my segments are photography based. But you're here as a fellow photographer. This is going to be a little bit nerdier than us.
Yes.
So segment 1.
Yes, sir.
It's the backdrop.
Rock and roll.
So this is where we set the scene, we move furniture around, set up some lights, test some lights, mixing exposure. So this is where we put even more of a base of who you are, what you do in a more Q&A format.
Perfect.
First question.
Yes, sir.
What is the day job? What is the night job?
Day job is photography, night job is photography.
Ha! So I always ask that question because maybe like 80% of the people that I know that work in the creative field or the arts or even performance supplement their, day-to-day resources through other means.
Right.
So it is always very refreshing that I have people here that it's like 100% in their art form.
Yeah.
Awesome.
When I say that, what I mean by that is, I did corporate for 6 years directly out of college. I think that every creative should do corporate work for no less than 6 months. Because, you're going to find out very quickly if you hate it. If you hate it, you need to develop that hate and hold it dear to your heart. So that way you can figure out how to make anything else work if you need to. Because corporate is a very specific it's a very specific environment, especially if you're an artist or a person with that kind of temperament. And I did it for 6 years, so I have that hate stored.
But it does provide you with some structure.
Oh my God.
It needs,
it wasn't just structure, but it's also like good work ethic, good work ethic, the ability to deal with a whole bunch of stuff, learning how to deal with bosses. Super important, especially if you're going to be freelance. Because one of my favorite quotes about the freelance world is not that you're your own boss, is that you have multiple bosses, but it's just like for a very short period of time.
Yeah. People think that being an entrepreneur, you hold your own time. That's totally the opposite. You're working 24/7 because you are the boss and you can't fire yourself.
Exactly. Like, you not only can you not fire yourself, but you're your only employee. Yeah. So you got to just work that poor fucker to the bone. And and here's the thing though, like, if you're going to do it because you love it, sure, having the hate in your heart for corporate is fine. And it's very useful, especially when you're young. But you also have to love what you're doing outside of that. Because if you don't, hey, look, man, to all the like yourself, like the people who are like having those jobs and you're like really skilled at it and you're working at it, like, fuck yeah, man. At the end of the day, I think that if you're more comfortable with having the feast and the famine be like a normality in your life, go for it.
Yep.
But if you're like going, I like having all these paychecks coming in exactly this time so I can make
every
this work.
2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, having benefits, stay in that. Like, seriously, stay in it.
It's whatever you do, freelance, corporate, artist, shill somewhere.
Yeah.
Enjoy what you do. So if you're working 40 hours a week, busting your butt, make sure that you have 40 hours or even more in that same week where you enjoy the benefits of your hard work. Conversely, when you're freelancing and you only have that one gig, that 1 month, better make sure that your ulcer is in check before your next. That's why I can never be a freelancer, because I have ulcers. So it's like, fuck, I can't be nervous.
No, that's stress, man. Like,
what was the day job?
My last.
Or what was the last corporate job that you had?
Yeah, the last position I held at the company, I was an inventory control manager at a 3PL. And for people who don't know what 3PL is, that's okay, because you don't have to. I mean, seriously, and don't get me wrong, like, my immediate bosses are really cool. And by and large, it was office casual, so that certainly didn't hurt. But what I hated about it was so deeply unfulfilling. I was good at it because, to your point about finding things in the job that you love. The best part about that job was I got to feel like a detective, because a lot of it was, when you have an inventory control, it's a matter of like matching counts to what's on the shelf to what the system says. Like, that's as simple as I can make it. And then when you have these discrepancies, it's like, okay, cool. So let's go there and look through all this data and like figure out how this works. And I love that part of it. And I love talking to people all over the world, because I took care of stuff basically from Central Time over to wherever, and then I did overnight for a while. So I got to like work in the Asian Pacific market for a while. That was cool. Like, lots of dope people I got to meet. They flew me out to Amsterdam to take care of counts, like in person, for one of the major clients. To take care
of the red light district.
Trying to get me in trouble, bro.
100%.
Word. No, but I mean, it had its moments. It was super dope, and all things considered, especially for like, my first real job out of college. It was good, but I fell in love with photography around like about a couple years in, and then my turning point, and mind you, this is by no means an endorsement for this kind of thinking, but my turning point was I was sitting at my desk. They didn't like allow for us to have our cell phones out. So I had my cell phone underneath my desk, like most of us did. And I'm there like, and what I was doing on my cell phone was I was like scheduling gigs, turning down gigs because I didn't have the time. I never took vacation time. My sick days were for when I was like too exhausted from like working a full day and then going home and shooting, or going to people's apartments and shooting, or going over to Shetler Studios and shooting, getting home by like around 11 or 12 o'clock, doing editing, going to sleep by around 3 or 4 o'clock, waking up for like 9 or 10, around 9 o'clock to get to work for 10:30, and then the wash, rinse, repeat, and then all my weekends were just shooting. Like, that was where I was at, where I was like, what am I doing? Like I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. Like, if I'm going to go there and fuck up my life, this is the time to do it.
Yep.
And then that was a scary moment, but it was also like a deeply gratifying one. There were a bunch of other things that were going on in my life at the time too, where it's just like major life changes. But I was like, yeah, no, this is it. I personally think that it's grossly irresponsible if you have a family that you have to take care of.
Yep.
Or you have dependents on you of any kind, to be a freelancer starting off now. Don't do that. It's not fair to them. But you know what, though? If you're like single, or you have a great support structure, or both, do it. Like,
responsibilities first.
Word.
So if your responsibility is just you, then, if you can fuck yourself, you want to.
Word.
But if more people get fucked because you're fucking around,
nah. Yeah, exactly.
But I wanted to raise, did your day job seed your initial photography stuff?
Oh yeah.
See, that's the thing. I mean, I know it's not the sexiest thing to hear,
Mhm.
but if you have a passion, you need something to fuel it to start.
Yep.
You know, very, 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 very few people just start off amazing at their thing.
Oh, seriously.
So you need to get it. You need to get it going for a little
Mhm.
bit. Like I'm, you know, my first camera, my parents bought it for me.
Oh, word.
So and my first L lens, my parents
Ooh.
bought it for me.
Ooh,
So
your parents love you, bro.
but they bought two of the 11 stuff that I did. But again, that's the thing. I couldn't have done it. One, I needed to prove that I deserved those things.
Yes.
And it took a little while to prove it while doing other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, you know, you need a little push to be in your thing. So you can't just like wake up and like, yeah, I'm an amazing painter, and then paint. Well, you know, like people will sponsor my paint.
Yeah,
No.
no, that's drunk. I mean, like, the thing about it is, that moment in time was after I put in about 3 years into the game, and mind you, I was a crazy person. Like when I made the decision that I wanted to be a dope photographer, it was knowing that I wasn't, and it was also knowing that the only way for me to like get there was to start putting in like a huge amount of time into a huge body of work, knowing that 2 years down the line, I better look back at it and say that it sucks.
Yeah.
You know, because one of the most important things I read early on was, you know, your first 10,000 shots are going to suck. Accept that.
I'm at like 2 million. I still think they're like, meh.
Yeah, but you can look whatever, bro. But you know, but like the thing is though, like it's a different kind of like where you're at now in terms of like if you have dissatisfaction with your work, it's not from necessarily a technical level. Instead, it's from like I have this idea and I really want to execute it well.
Also,
You know?
if you're the type of person, if you look at your shots 2 years ago and you say like, dope, I'm awesome, then be very concerned with your skill.
Be scared. Like, oh my, like that was one of the benefits of going through like a long period of my time and still of dedicating myself to writing. That was like my first craft. Like, and that was something I dedicated myself to from the time I was like 9. You know, I was writing short stories and shit like that. I was like writing full screenplays by the time I was like 14. I was by the time I graduated college, my original plan, foolish as it was to write the next great American urban fantasy novel series, like, you know, like the Dresden Files.
Jim Butcher, shout out.
Shout out Jim Butcher, shout out to Patrick Rothfuss. Seriously, Patrick Rothfuss, finish off the novel. That'd be great. Thanks, bro.
2.5 books is not enough, dude.
Word, dude. Like,
Come on, get your shit together, man.
yeah, I mean, but also like raise your kid. but what I learned through writing and like really busting myself against those rocks was the benefit of hard work, the benefit of frustration, the benefit of working through the frustration, of knowing when you're being insane to yourself and knowing when you know you can get to the other side. And so with photography, that was easier in many ways because I already experienced these frustrations.
That's good.
You know, and I also had enough sense to know there will always be people in your life who tell you that what you do is great. And there are always going to be people in your life who tell you that what you do sucks. And what you have to learn is who's telling the truth. You know, my benefit, my advantage is that my mom is brutally honest with me. Shout out to Caribbean mothers.
Shout out, mom.
Word. You know, so growing up, like for instance, back in college when I was doing acting, my mom came to 3 of my shows and I was in like 2 shows every semester. And the first time my mom came to my show, I was like, hey, what do you think? My mom was like, you're not very good. Just like that. You're not very good. So when I started like falling down that rabbit hole of photography, there's this print that I have hanging up on my wall. Shout out to Jax Fishburne. I miss you. You're dope. And it's like this beautiful nude of Jax. And I showed it to my mom. It's like this great silver 11x14 print. And my mom's like, oh my God, that's such a pretty picture. And I'm like, yeah, it's a great nude. My mom's like, that's a nude? I was like, yeah. You can't tell? My mom's like, no. I said, great. That means I've done something right. You know, and if my mom believed in my photography, not to say that if she didn't believe in it, I would have given up, but we're talking about good support structures that are really useful. The honesty that my mom has, and God help me, the honesty that my father has. Oh boy, shout out to Caribbean fathers. You know, like my dad, even now, he's like going, you know, if you go back to engineering school, I'd so pay for it. like right now. Like thanks, Dad. But even he goes, yeah, your work's pretty dope. And that's awesome. That makes me feel really great. And then there are other people who will look at my work and they'll be like,
I mean, again, any feedback is good feedback.
Word.
It's how you work, and that's one of the reasons why I am trying to do this meager podcast that, you know, maybe like 600 people listens to. It doesn't really matter who it listens to.
600 is better than none.
Yeah, but temper expectations with things that you love, because you can't just love something because you're good at it. You just have to love it until you are good at it.
Word. And on top of that, like, don't get into this game thinking that you're going to have a built-in audience, because you're not.
No.
I mean,
anything.
Like, word. Oh
Anything.
my God. It's so annoying when you see people. I mean, Instagram's gotten better at this, but I remember in particular, one of the first instances of me going, oh, this Instagram game is stupid. Some people play it really dumb. There was this one musician I knew who on his Instagram had 100,000 followers. But then every single post, which was stupid, it was just stupid. I'm not going to go into details because I don't want to embarrass the dude, but it's stupid. But every single one of his posts, 4 likes. Who are you fooling? Really? Like, no one really cares, and we're all looking, and the people who are looking at it, who are real, are looking at it completely disgusted with the shots you're posting. Seriously, bro, no one wanted to see you in like your robe trying to go there and push it down. You know, but you know, for as a creative, the most difficult part is waiting for people to notice your shit. It's so difficult to get through that period when you're like posting to Instagram or Twitter or wherever you post, or on your website, and the traffic isn't coming in. That shouldn't deter you from doing the very best work you possibly can.
There you go.
In fact, I think that what it should do is it should help drive you to be better. You know, like when we're talking about really dope shooters, you know, like we were fans of each other's work for years before we met, right? And the thing about it is like, I was a fan of your work because you're dope as shit. Like, and on top of that,
Thank you.
Our aesthetics were so similar. Like, we obviously have different things going on.
It's technically, like, if you look at it, the ingredients are the same. Super plain, super straight.
Word. And I'm also very much a one light guy too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, like one of my favorite sayings, and actually this goes into like, you know, favorite pictures, but it's like this apocryphal saying about Avedon. Like, when Avedon first started off, he shot with 2 lights, and when he became a master, he turned off one. Yeah. Like, dude, like, if that doesn't blow your mind, then
that's just, you know, in any game, you know, it's the thing where they make it look easy.
Oh, word.
You work with dancers that make like jumping and splitting and spinning look like
so easy.
very easy. And that's the thing. It's if they've mastered their craft enough so that they don't need the other frills. Yeah. I have a photo in my apartment. The YouTube listeners won't be able to see it, but I'll post it at one point. We'll do a deep dive on it. But
word.
Yeah, it's like a underwater photo. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because it's underwater. But I can't shoot underwater all the time.
Word. I mean, like the technicalities of that are insane. Between finding the right kind of kit, you know, of being able to like find the right kind of underwater cage for your camera and your lens, and then
mine was a Ziploc bag.
God bless you.
2
sir.
Ziploc bags, because I'm not stupid.
Fucking smart, man. But also, like, how do you then, you know, how do you then figure out the timing of everything, of the dancer in the water, you in the water, when to hit the fucking shutter, how many shots can you take before somebody's got to come up for air, going through the shots, finding the technical limitations of the gear that you have, figuring out how to work around those. Like, that's all real shit that it doesn't really matter when it comes to looking at the shot, you know. But if our audience right now is like other shooters, it's like, no, these are all the things that you really do have to worry about. And
these are all the things that in the previous episode we kind of touched on, is like, you just be prepared. Have everything ready just in case.
Oh, word. And also, but have as much ready as possible. Be as prepared as you possibly can. And then realize that you're going to get punched in the face anyway.
Yep.
And you're going to have to deal with problems you could not foresee.
Anticipate the climax, but prepare for a lot of frustration and disappointment.
Oh, word.
Speaking of tools, though.
Yes, please.
Another question I always like asking my guests is the tools of the trade.
Rock and roll.
We are both photographers. Yep. Now we can get nerdy.
Yes.
What is the tools that you use, firstly, and then unlimited resources, what would you want to use? I see your gear sitting close by, so tell the people what you have.
Sure thing. So I'm a Canon shooter. Word. So right now my main body is a Canon EOS R. Yes,
that is new.
Yes.
So previous to that, what was, because you've been shooting for a while, that hasn't been out in the market for a year. So
yeah. So before that, Canon 6D.
Huh.
Dude, the Canon
crop factor.
No, 6D is full frame.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the 6D is so we're talking about. Yeah, now we can get nerdy as fuck. All right, cool. So the Canon 6D came out, if I remember correctly, around the same time as the 5D Mark III.
Yeah.
Right. So it's got that same generation sensor. The Canon 6D is about 90% of the 5D Mark III. Here's what you're trading off, though, for about $1,000. Because, I mean, the 6D, when it first came out, was $1,000 less than the Mark III. Number one, the 6D's got partially magnesium frame, but plastic on the bottom and at the top, because it actually had like the first like Wi-Fi system of that generation. Instead of like a whole bunch more autofocus points, you've got 11. They're like in the center, so lots of focus recomposing. Yeah, I mean,
I don't even know what autofocus points are. I use the center
and recompose. Word.
Yeah.
I mean, like, God, and for anyone who's now getting into photography in this wonderful time where, like, you know, you have so many autofocus points,
so many good lenses, and again, now that I'm doing this podcast and I'm learning more about video, I'm doing about HD, 4K, 24, 30, 60, 120 frames. I'm like, this is such a great time to be alive right now.
Oh, word.
I wish I had $5,000 to buy a show. So going back, so you started with the 6D for the most part.
No. I started off with the T3i.
The T3i.
Yep. The T3i was my first camera body. I still have it because it's still there. God bless it, man. And then with the T3i, I went there. My first lens I bought.
Nifty 50.
Of course. What else? What else you're gonna get?
So if you're a photographer right now, and if you don't have a 50 millimeter 1.8,
word,
fuck yourself.
Word, because you fucked up your life.
That is the cheapest, most amazing lens that you could use ever. If you have another extra $100, 35 f2. Just do all the shits. Come on.
Word. I mean, so the Nifty 50. So true story. My first year of series shooting, I carried my T3i with my 50 millimeter f1.8 with me everywhere I had my bag. I'm talking for like a year solid. I was just like, all right, even if I'm going to be shooting bullshit, I was like, I'm going to get through my 10,000 shots, and I would go out. On my lunch breaks at my day job, and I would give myself like these really like cute little assignments, like, all right, cool. So I'm going to shoot anything that's red, or I'm going to find circles and I'm going to shoot those, or I'm going to find like somebody who's wearing like purple shirts.
That's a good way to enhance your experience, because I totally did not do that.
I just read that on a blog somewhere. I said, let me try that out. And then I was also really lucky that I was really good friends with a coworker of mine, Jesse. Shout out to Jesse.
Shout out Jesse.
Fucking miss you, dude. Jesse is this stunning, wonderful, geeky as fuck human being. This is how geeky Jesse is. Real brief aside. Down her back in Vulcan is
you just said you got me at Vulcan.
She's so dope. She's also married. Shout out to Justin. God bless you too, sir.
Jesse and Justin, come on.
I know. She's kind of like built right there. Live long and prosper in Vulcan, right down her back. And what would happen is if I got like new lenses to test, I'd be like, yo, Jesse, you want to come out for lunch? She's like, bro, like at least give me a heads up so I can put on some makeup. I'm like, oh, whatever, dude, you're gorgeous. This is fucking rocket. And I had the benefit of that. It was amazing. And Jesse, like, seriously was such a boon to me. In terms of being such a great person to hang out with for a couple hours so I could fuck around and fuck up. That's so important.
It's very important. I mean, same with me because one of my ex-girlfriends back in the Philippines when we started dating, I was already like a kind of budding photographer, but she was hanging out with me and my other buddies that also shot, which is, shout out to the Illuminati boys, Aaron and Paul and Rage. Those are the boys that we kind of like shot every weekend at.
Dope.
And all their spouses, because they were all married, all their spouses wanted to support their husband, so they were all makeup artists.
Wow.
So that was super fun. And then my girlfriend at that point also was very into makeup and were very into beauty, went into makeup, and it was just kind of like she wanted to shoot because she needed stuff for her portfolio for practice.
That's awesome.
I wanted to shoot because I wanted my stuff for my, so it was kind of like a symbiotic relation. It kind of just accelerated the learning process.
Oh, absolutely.
It's easier for you to get subjects, especially if you're doing in the beauty scene, the model portfolios or whatnot. It's a lot easier if it's like, I already have a makeup artist, so they kind of like if they fear that they have some imperfections, it can be like glossed out real quick. So that was, so support system is real good.
Yep.
Apart from the gear.
Word. So after I got the Nifty 50, my next purchase was the 85 millimeter f1.8, and
I still see it there.
Word. So, I will die on this hill. The 85 f1.8. It's got to be top 5 Canon lenses ever. I'll die on this hill. I don't give a shit. Let's go.
It's the focal length of the 85 millimeter is kind of, for those who are subject based, if human based or image based, it makes you look thin and tall. So,
oh my god!
So that's why it's an amazing focal length. It's just so long.
Oh, dude. I mean, so for me, like what I discovered after I got the 6D, right, was that I see the world on with an 85 on a full frame. And that's something that you have to discover for yourself.
Find your focal length.
Exactly. Because like I can grab this camera right now and I've done this. I can shoot headshots. I can shoot full length. I can shoot fashion. I can shoot events. I've shot runway. I mean, like, dude, you just have to know, like, you have to know its limitations. You have to know its strengths. And the 85 1.8 on a full frame camera, fucking love it.
Yeah. So that's another advice for people who are getting into photography or already photographers. If you do or don't have the gear, try the gears out. I usually try to do the prime lenses, not really because it's fixed, it's because of the wide aperture. So the wide aperture just gives you a little bit more of allowance to shoot in low light should you need to. So you don't really need to be out in the sun or you don't need to light. So if you're just have a subject in a cloudy day, you can still shoot fairly bright. So you have like the leeway to do so. But I also am a big fan of bokeh. So so that's the thing. But people say the Holy Trinity is the 35, 50, 85. You have like biologically some inclinations to that focal. You're 85. Yeah. I'm 50 all the way.
Oh, rock and roll.
100% 50.
Well, let me ask you this question then. Like, what's your favorite 50, like your top 3 50s?
I'm gonna sound so douchey this time.
No.
I have the 50 like a Similux. So
a little bit too rich for my blood.
That was the lens that I initially hated the most because for those amateur or hobbyist photographers, we do Leica is mostly manual.
Yeah.
I'm bad at it. So it took me a solid month. So I spent an exorbitant amount to shoot out of focus shit.
Because that's like 0.95, right?
No, it's the Similux is 1.4.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was thinking of another lens.
That's a Noctilux. That's 11 grand.
No, thanks. I'm good.
No, pass. I can buy a house with it. I am very familiar with the number one lens that I shoot with in the apartment in every studios. I shoot with my 50L all the time.
Rock and roll.
Because my apartment short in length, so that's that's a good headshot. Not super tight, but kind of shorter than a half body, and like a good 3/4 length. 1.2. I always love bokeh, like I mentioned, but there's just something different with how these Germans call it the Leica lens, and then it has a character that only not to sound elitist, but only real photographers will feel once they get in focus.
Oh, dude, I mean, like, that's the funky thing. Like, this is why, I've learned to, like, shut the fuck up about gear stuff around clients. Because, like, it's not their job. They don't need to worry about this stuff. We do. Right? And there's something super important about finding, like, the weird lenses that you love for whatever reason. It's like one of my favorite lenses I have is actually, oh God, how am I blanking on this right now? Like when I'm trying to be like super super gearhead. It's a super Takumar 55mm f2. I fucking love that lens. Dope. Dude, and it's dirt cheap. At least it was when I got it. But that lens has this beautiful, number one, it's sharp as piss, but it's also the lens coating isn't that great, so you get really great like sun flares.
Yeah.
The quality of it though, I shot so many outdoor things with that, and if you look at my work now, it's mostly studio, but like when I was shooting outdoors, man, there was just something, so it felt like film, and not just like film, it felt like a summer back in 1983, if that makes any sense.
The thing nowadays, though, is like when you're buying a new camera, you are being inundated with specs, which is rightfully so, because that is the maximum quality that you can get with your gear. But people cannot describe in a good description on a kind of like a catalog or a website or an Amazon description. The character of the shot. What they can only measure is the sharpness,
megapixels, like, all that sort of shit,
color gradients, stuff like that. So that's kind of like what they can put on paper. But character and feel of pictures is something that you just really have to experience. That's why, a hobby like photography, you need to be out there. You need to be testing stuff. There's so many different, make friends, borrow lenses.
For sure. I mean, hell, like go out with said friends and swap lenses with each other.
100%.
So that way, number one, the person who you're borrowing from doesn't feel like you're about to run off with their shit. But also, like, they can explain, like, how, like, in terms of like, so you spent a month finding a way to like make this lens work. But if you had like a person who was like super familiar with that lens, I'm sure that would have cut your time like in a tenth.
And somebody's experience might be different from yours. Somebody's experience or preference too. It's like some people, I kind of have most of the focal lengths, and I tend to veer towards the slightly wider sides with the 50s and the 35s.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because for me, I just want to, I want my images to breathe, but I've seen a lot of amazing photos that are tight.
Word.
And I like it.
Yeah.
And, and that's why we might discuss it a while later on, but it's like, some super tight crops are a little bit more, like for me, it's just like every single inch of the frame is filled with something that needs to be seen.
Word.
Rather than your eyes wandering around.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing. So going back to your gear,
right. So my neck, it was 85 1.8, and then I started falling in love with the M42 mount. Like I was working on a set years and years ago, and I was talking with the First AC, and he turned me on to the M42 mount. He was like, "Oh yeah, bro, just get yourself like a super cheap adapter, and then you can buy all these lenses. It opens up your world." I went, "Thanks, Vinny." and so I started buying all these lenses to test focal lengths I otherwise wouldn't have played with. Like from hell, I've got a 400mm. It's old as shit, and it's way too long for me. Like way too long, but it's great to have because then I know that. And then I was able to like play around with a different wider lens. Like I had this really great 24 that I loaned to someone, and I can't remember, so it's gone, and it's a shame because it was so good.
Hopefully he or she listens to this and returns it to you.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Like it's gone. But that's where I was able to play around with the 55 millimeter. What
I
else?
hate that fucking focal length.
Really? Why?
It just doesn't work for me.
Mm.
I don't like the odd ends, like the 21s and the 55s.
Ooh, that means you're probably not a fan of the 67s either.
I've never even tested it.
Oh, dude. I mean, like, what's the name? Like, there's this one Russian 85-ish that I really want to get, but I don't have $400 to burn off of eBay. But I love seeing the bokeh on that. It's just so weird and beautiful. And it, again, like, you know, the copies I've seen are super sharp. Which might not be a concern for you. I think too, like when we're talking about like the era that we're in now, where like, again, you have an amazing machine like the EOS R getting shit on by like so many different
I'm saving up for it.
Dude, the EOS R is dope as shit, especially if you have like a bunch of manual lenses, because focus peaking changes your life.
But also, like, I'm already on the Canon system. It has 4K video. It has.
I mean, this is where like legitimate criticism comes into play. The 4K is indeed cropped, and if you care about that,
no, I'm just saying, like, again, I'm not shooting 2-hour videos in 4K.
And if you were, you would also have like a whatchamacallit, like an Atomos, like, you know, monitor recorder thing, so that wouldn't be a problem anymore. I mean, like, look, I personally love the EOS R. Seriously, sponsor me, Ken. That'd be great.
Me too, please.
Yeah, right. The EOS R is in a word a little bit, well, okay, that's several words. It's a little bit quirky. Especially if you're coming from the DSLR world. There is a learning curve for sure, because the EVF is going to change the way you shoot. How fast it turns on, bruh. DSLRs turn on much faster. Like, and I remember, like, I think Ken Rockwell in his review, and shout out to Ken Rockwell, because it was Ken Rockwell and Tony and Chelsea Northrup who like provided me a technical basis when I needed it. And I loved reading Ken Rockwell's reviews, because agree with them or not, at least the dude's got an opinion. Yeah. You know, so when Ken Rockwell was saying though on how, like, you know, that the camera turns on fast enough, bro, I'm an action shooter. Like, things disappear in a tenth of a second. And I mean, that's the one thing I really dislike. But beyond that though, look, if you're planning things right, you're going to be okay.
Why did you get the R over the 5D Mark IV?
Because mirrorless is the future. Like, straight up. Mirrorless is the future. The EOS R is cheaper than the 5D Mark IV. Price matters. Yeah, hell, once again, quoting Ken Rockwell, like years ago, he said this, and as a professional shooter, absolutely true. Professional shooters can't afford to brand new gear all the goddamn time. We just can't. Like, you know, our money's going towards bills. It's going towards like gear that's falling apart because we're keeping it together with duct tape and a prayer. The EOS R, I went there and pulled the trigger on that simply because, number one, the 60 was getting long in the tooth. And I was shooting with that since 2012, 2013, I think, something like that. And it had gone through battle, and it was starting to fall apart a bit. And on top of that, EVF was real. I've got more manual lenses than I don't.
Got it.
And I really wanted to be able to use those better than just keeping them in my drawer, looking pretty for people to be like, oh my God, you got so many lenses. Like, yeah, all right, how many of them do I use? And I wanted to get more into video. And even though it's like a crop 4K, I'm like, I don't care.
I mean, I say 4K and I look at it and I try to look. It takes so much hard disk space, and that's kind of like super basic. Dude. All of my shit will be 1080p, HD. It'll be good enough for YouTube. It's good enough for most reels. I can make a fucking movie with a 1080.
I mean, don't forget this. I think this is super important to remember in this age of of super gear. In the first Avengers movie, they used the 5D Mark II for B-roll. Always remember that. They used the 5D Mark II for B-roll.
To still use.
Word. So, look, 4K super cute, super cute. But here's the thing. How many hard drives do you have?
100%.
I mean, like So I try to keep my yearly input on like I've got one main drive where I've got a year, and then I've got a backup of that. And if I'm really smart, I got a backup of that. So that's 2 to 3 drives for 1 year.
It's too much for me.
Word.
No.
I've been shooting seriously since 2013. I have way too many drives as is. If I then switched over to doing like 4K video on a regular basis with the same amount of consistency as I shoot now, nah, dude, I'm good. I'm not about that life. Anyway, so let me continue down the gear road really fast. Another great Canon lens, a 40mm f2.8.
The STM?
I'm sorry?
The STM.
No, it's the STM.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you said just the M. Yeah, the STM. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that pancake lens. I've heard a lot of good things.
So good. If you see an action shot that's full body that I shot in my apartment, it's right on that.
Interesting.
40mm f2.8. Look, if I'm doing like a portrait, or if I'm doing even a 3/4 shot, usually it's with the 85. Anything that where I feel that I have to keep the right proportions, the most flattering proportions of your face, I'm shooting at 85. I don't even fuck with 50.
Yeah.
But if it's full body, 40. Oh my god.
Interesting.
The focus is snappy, super fast. F2.8, look, usually when I'm shooting action stuff, I'm usually shooting F11. Like, I don't even like stepping down to F8. I just don't.
Oh.
Especially like
I never go beyond F8.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially when I'm shooting with the 6D and when it's autofocus system, how only like 11 focus points. I didn't want to fuck around. I wanted everything to be as sharp as possible. And it's such a great lens. The bokeh is pretty good. But if I'm that close where I'm getting all that, I'm like, meh. But it's super sharp and it's less than $200.
100%.
Good Lord, man. Past that point. Oh, and my main zoom lens is actually the 28 to 105 f3.5 to 4.
Old school.
Word. Like, I don't have any L series lenses. Like, I wish I could afford them, But I mean, like, look, at the end of the day, it's my kit works for me for what I do. And I've been in situations where I have needed to get L series lenses. You know what happens? They get rented for me.
Yeah,
like
100%.
And that's what matters.
If you're shooting at f11 anyway.
Word. I mean, yeah, exactly. If you're shooting like at an aperture like that, like wide, you
just look at the focal length and just get whatever. It really 100%. I remember maybe like 8-9 years ago, I did a shoot back in the Philippines where it was just a kit lens only. So like, all right, I'm gonna do. So everybody had an 18 to 55. It's like, all right, I'm gonna do 55 at f8.
Yeah.
TV 1/125. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, the only people who are gonna be pixel peeping anyway are usually should be you. And if you're in a situation where you have an art director or a photo editor who's going to be pixel peeping that much, that means chances are there's going to be a budget enough where you can rent the lens, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
anyway.
if you have somebody that will look deep into your photograph like that,
yep,
they could really afford a medium format or another cameras for you.
Word.
Gun to your head.
Yes, sir.
One lens.
Like forever?
Forever.
Ah, shit. See, my first instinct would say the 85, but we're saying forever.
Forever. Changes.
Yeah, it does. It does, because like the 85, its limitation is just how long it is.
Yeah, for like I know I use the 50 all the time, but if I only had one lens to work with, I'm going to go with a 35.
Oh, funny enough, I was going to go with the 50.
Oh, there you go. So we both step down.
But if we're going to go with the 50, if we're going to go with a 50... probably the new, because I've heard nothing but great things about the new 50mm RF lens, the one for the EOS system. Because buddy of mine, he reviewed it and he was like, he wasn't impressed with the EOS R, but he said that the EOS R is worth it just to get that lens.
Yeah, it's sharp, good coding, silent when you're doing video. So I read the things and I watch the videos, and it's just that I am trying my hardest not to do more. Like, so the thing is, I'm gonna get an R for sure at some point, maybe 2 years, when I can afford it. But I can't get another set of lens. I finally finished my L's. So I'm done.
Oh, dude. Well, here's the beautiful thing about the EOS R. The adapter is amazing.
That's the reason why I'm getting it.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I didn't want to go there and like buy it because I mean, like, the RF lenses are stupid expensive. They're big and they're heavy and they're stupid expensive.
And it kind of defeats the purpose of getting the mirrorless lens. You're getting a mirrorless lens because you're trying to minimize.
Exactly.
So if the thing is, so yeah, it kind of defeats the purpose of me putting an adapter and putting an L lens. But if you're still gonna get the standard RF lenses on it, it's still gonna expand it.
Oh yeah.
So much. Unless there's a couple of the kits and the ones that it comes with it is pretty compact.
Yeah,
it makes good. But yeah, but again, it's we're both Canon dudes, which is great. I didn't know that you were shooting Canon as well.
Oh, word.
And I mentioned before, you're welcome to partake in whatever you can whatever you want to borrow.
I appreciate that, but I mean, but here's the thing though. Like I think it's super important though to also acknowledge this much. When I first started off, I was like very much like that Canon fan, but like, yeah, Canon's better than Nikon, blah blah. Like I've ever picked up Nikon and played with them, but then what happened was, I discovered Hasselblad. Okay, so here's
mistake.
Yeah, here's what you need to understand if you don't know why this is a big deal, dear listener. The most expensive Canon like mainstream camera is like what? The 1DX Mark III? Mark II. Right. That's like what? 6,500?
Brand new, yeah.
Yeah. And for Nikon, what's that? Like the D6 or D5?
5
whatever.
or 6, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. With comparable price. Hasselblad starts at 10,000. All right. And I mean, I remember for a time, the least expensive Hasselblad was 24,000. Now, that doesn't even come close to phase one.
You're just going to give me that's just the body with like a regular film back. You need to put like a digital back on it too.
Word. And that starts at 45,000.
100%.
And then and that's like you said, for the basic body. If you want the pro body, that's like what, $60,000? Fuck that noise. We're not talking about lenses either. Those lenses are running like $10,000, $15,000 a pop.
Although the 82.8, oh. So
I haven't even looked at that because I don't want any more heartbreak in my life. Like that's basically it. But yeah, like so after that, stop being such a fanboy. I think see these tools for what they are. I think that they're the best reason for brand loyalty is simply because you're already invested in the system.
Yeah.
But also like real talk, before the EOS R came out, I was looking at Sony hardcore, dude.
Sony is on the come up, and my office is near B&H.
Ooh.
And I peek in there all the time, not for gear because I'm poor, but more of still like I like bags and stuff like that to make sure that I can go on my trips and bring in the cameras itself, because the best camera that you can ever get is the one that's with you.
Exactly.
So I see Sony, and I've tested Sony. I've had the Sony A7R Mark II.
Ooh.
I had the Midicon. It's a Midicon 50.95. I had Voigtlander lenses with the Metabone speed boosters.
God damn.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But again, I got a little old and I said, stop with the collecting, stop with the testing, buy something that's going to be like one body, a couple of lenses that will be something that you'll give to your children. So I sold all so I can go all into Leica stuff.
Hey, I mean, like, look, the A9, I think you cannot take away that is the standard of what mirrorless bodies can do right now. Like, you can't take that away from
great
them at
autofocus, awesome gyro,
20 FPS. Are you serious? Like, dude, I remember that came out and they fixed the battery problems, which was amazing to me. And I was like, Canon, you got to step up your game, bruh, because I'm about to jump ship. Then the A7R3 came out. I was like, oh, what am I doing really with my life? Thankfully, the EOS R came out. But, like, again, the thing about brand loyalty is you can be loyal to the brand, but that doesn't mean the brand's loyal to you. So don't shit on other brands because no one's making bad machines. Like, hell, even the third-party Chinese stuff like Yongyo, apparently they're putting in some halfway decent shit now.
No. Yeah, that's the I have a bunch of things on my Amazon cart, the ones that are like the 51.1s from these third-party manufacturers. They're doing really good stuff because in the end, they are the same manufacturers of the Voigtlanders, the Canons, the Rokinons. Just take out the brand.
Yeah.
And you just have to,
control.
but also just find the one that works for you.
Right.
you find your shooting style. Find the ones that if you're a collector, go collect, spend money. That's fine. But if you need to be economic about it, just test the things that you need to test.
Because I mean, like, there's a difference in being a collector and being a shooter.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be a collector who shoots, and you can be a shooter who collects. But I mean, like, look, what's your focus here? Like, ultimately, at the end of the day, like, I think that our primary concern is we're looking at these tools to help us create better stuff, rather than, oh my God, let's go there and like talk about, how much coding this has and how spherical the bokeh is going to be. Like, look,
no, those things don't matter 95% of the time.
Word.
I can think a couple of the photographers / like just lifestyle people that I follow a lot. Somebody like a Brandon Stanton of Humans of New York.
Right.
He does like a 5D3, 5D4, and a 50, 1, 2, 1, 4. And that's it.
Wow. God bless him.
It's one, because again, it's not about the gear.
Nope.
Gear helps. I love gear.
Word.
But again, it's the courage to go to a subject and then shoot him. Or the stealth so that they don't
right. But I mean, here's the thing though. Like, I think that when we're talking about acquiring gear, if you're a beginner shooter or if you're a mediocre shooter, if someone put a phase 1 camera in your hand, you're not going to be a better shooter.
100%.
It's just not going to happen. No. Hell, it would make it worse because, like,
all your imperfections are highlighted.
Oh my God, seriously. And it's also like you have you've got $75,000 worth of gear in your hands. We're not even talking about what lens, like what light kit comes with that. You just not wasted everyone's time, bro.
100%.
I think that what matters most, because I'm remembering when I finally had to like bump up from the T3i to the 6D. I was bumping into focusing issues. I was bumping into dynamic range issues because, like, again, we're both like, we love shooting shit in the dark, and we like shooting darker things and having like more
truer blacks,
no banding, more gradations from bright to dark. What else? The body's plastic, like, and I mean, and I've never like broken my camera, but you can tell the difference, especially if you want to do more hardcore things, like, where you might. Like, just the other day, I was doing this gig. It was a favor for a friend, and I had my camera up on sticks being tripod, and the MC came in and accidentally knocked over my fucking sticks. My camera almost dropped, and I like, thank God for reflexes. But if it fallen down, I mean, like, the lens might have been fucked, but the body would have been okay. But if it's a T3i, I mean, like, then it would completely. Also, well, that dude would have also had to pay $1,600. Thankfully that didn't have to come to pass. But those are things that really matter when it comes to deciding that you're going to upgrade your gear. Make sure that you're upgrading your gear because of the limitations of the gear, not because of your own limitations.
Again, it's better to maximize the gear than the gear maximizes you.
Exactly.
But again, if whatever makes you happy, if you want to spend $10,000 on a camera that you can't use, go for it, dude. Go for it. It's your fucking money. Buy whatever the fuck you want. Enjoy life. But if you feel disappointed or frustrated about the photographs that you shoot, it's not the gear.
Oh yeah, no.
Doesn't matter. I'm not the best photographer in the world.
Neither am I.
I can make an entire film with my iPhone. All right, so I can shoot with. I have a tiny EOS M over there that I can.
Dope. Shout out to the EOS M.
Yeah, everybody hates that fucking camera, but I can rock that. I can rock that shit.
Mean, like, look, the EOS M, it's like, dude, first of all, that was like a really great blogging machine. Like, seriously. And I mean, like, so many vloggers like have rocked this for so long. And I remember, like, because when it first came out, I was like going, this is bullshit. And then I started seeing it being used in the field. And I was like, oh my God, this is actually much better than I thought. Especially seeing how people have used it. And that's actually, I think, would be really good advice. See not the reviews, but use videos. Like, see sample shots.
Got it.
Because that right there will tell you really what you need to know. Whether or not this is a good or a bad camera. How do you define good? How do you define bad? If it's megapixels and autofocus points, matters to a certain point, but maybe it doesn't apply to you.
You do your research. test it out. But again, find your why. Some people, battery life is end all be all, because
word.
again, if you're going on a weekend trip,
Right, or your wedding photographer.
that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
you find the most basic things, because in the end, you can have the most expensive camera, you can have the cheapest camera, but if you lose the moment, it doesn't really matter.
Dude, seriously.
All right.
Yeah.
So, all right, speed round.
Yes, please.
Speed round.
Oh,
I'm
boy.
gonna ask
30 words or
a
less.
bunch of your favorite stuff.
Cool.
All right. You know, I think we kind of determined it's the 85-50 for the lens.
85-1.8, 50 millimeter f1.2. No,
1.2.
f1.4
1.4.
actually. Yeah, just because less weight.
Oh, all right.
And I like the USM.
Okay, these are so the next stuff will be like the let's shoot segment of this podcast is just quick stuff that we want to make sure that we elevate. So
Right on.
let's start with the hard stuff.
Cool.
Favorite shoot ever.
Oh shit.
Hard, tough, huh?
Oh god.
Fuck that. You know, everything is all my babies.
Yeah, no.
They're
Not
amazing
everything
in
is.
everything is amazing in their own point. No.
Look,
What
man.
is that favorite shoot?
Okay. It won't be a favorite shoot, but it'll be a particularly gratifying shoot.
Hey.
And this is the one that immediately comes to mind. So years ago, I was shooting with this amazing dancer, like the legendary Catherine Crockett. Like, shout out to Catherine, who's like, oh my god, still one of the most stupendously talented and amazing people I've ever met in my life. So the shoot came about this way. She was like, hey, so my husband has this thing that's up at his office. Like, it's almost this vague. It's really cool. Do you want to come out and shoot it? I was like, okay. So I showed up, and I can send over the photo so you can put it up on YouTube. It was this really amazing diorama that Instagram had made for his company. I can't remember what exactly he does, but it was like this upside down sort of thing, and I had no idea how to light it. Like, I didn't have a clue what was going on. I just knew to show up with some speed lights and some light stands and my camera and sobriety, you know. And we did like about 3 or 4 wardrobe changes as I was like figuring out very quickly, okay, cool. So how do I want, like, what's the story I want to tell here? How can I light it? And what are my technical limitations? Like, I couldn't clip anything in the diorama because I didn't want to break anything. So I had to figure out very quickly, like, you know, what style and feel I wanted to go for. And I made decisions in life. And one of my favorite shots I've ever taken is hopefully the shot that's showing right now on YouTube. But for those who are listening, it's Catherine in, if I remember correctly, in a silver dress, seemingly upside down, doing like this really dope pose, and her hair is silver, and it's just this high key, like 1960s feeling psychedelic experience. And I just love that because of everything that went into the shoot. It was everything I love about photography. It was working with really dope people in an interesting situation where I have to problem solve super fast. And we got some of my favorite shots I've ever taken. And this was like back in probably 2016. Right. You could go looking back 2 years ago, like seeing your work, 3 years at this point. But yeah, that one.
And
that was super gratifying.
Seemingly a very challenging, amazing shoot. Can't wait to share it to our listeners and viewers. But even tougher. Favorite makeup artist?
Like ever?
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's a tough one.
I hate to put you in the spot, but I will, because
like who I've worked with, or just in general.
Yeah, let's start with who you've worked with. So that at least for the people who are listening, who are admirers of your work, you know, they could connect with you and your makeup artist for future possible shoots.
Shiza. Oh, that's tough, bro. I mean, the real situation is, like, these days I don't exactly have a house makeup artist anymore. Except that, no, well, you know, I'll give her a shout out. Simona. Simona's great. Simona Talento. I'll go there and send over her information. Simona is... She's super fast. She's super efficient. This is the kind of like we're talking about relationships like this. Simona will come in. She's super gregarious. She's like ready to rock and roll. She does the work and then she's done. And she's like, all right, cool, and gone.
Shout.
Word.
Shout, Simona.
Super fucking great that way. Oh, and also my buddy Urka, who is an amazing makeup artist, but also one of my like ride or die dance friends, man.
Dude.
Like
Urka and Simona.
word. Urka's really amazing at doing her own makeup, but she's also just really talented just in general. Like shout out to her. Like in general, I owe a great deal of things to her. Like a great deal.
We need more of those friends that helps us
Word.
with our hobbies and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean like she's one of the first dancers I ever worked with who like kind of like taught me so much of what I do now.
So
Yeah.
Urka, what's up? Simona, shout out.
Words on.
Location. Favorite location that you'd want to shoot at?
Milk Studios.
Oh my god, I was gonna say the same.
Yo, Milk Studios. Oh my God. So you want to talk about great support systems and dope people in your life? Shout out to Kai York, who's like, okay, so when I look at Kai's work, I'm like going, yep, when I grow up and become a real boy, I want to shoot just like that.
Yeah.
Kai brought me on, assisting him on a couple of different shoots, and we were over at Go, and I was just blown away the first time, and the second time I was like, yeah, still blown away. Go Studio. Jesus, man.
I mean, I want to shoot at Milk for the off chance that I might hang out with Deezus and Mero. So it's like maybe I'll shoot a dope ass model or a dope ass makeup artist, and then I go to the elevator, go down ground floor, and then just like bump into Deezus and Mero. We hit it off, and just keep drinking and just go gang gang. That's kind of like my shit.
Go for it, bro.
All right, here's the thing. I think this will be the hardest one.
Oh boy.
Favorite model. Oof, this is gonna be rough.
Why are you trying to get me in trouble, bro?
Exactly, dude.
Trying to get me in
I
trouble.
told you it's gonna be tough.
Can I go with top three? Or
Fine.
Okay,
Do your top
good.
3.
Oh, thank God. Seriously, like, because I'm pretty sure they could all break me in half. Like, I'm 6'1", 220.
Same.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah. It's like, why are you gonna fuck with people who can, like, from their tiptoes jump up doing a 720 tornado kick that rips your head off and then land
Easily too.
Right, easily
Yeah,
with a
it's like,
smile.
whatever.
With a smile. With a smile. So already mentioned Urka.
Urka.
For fucking real. After that,
Oof.
why are you trying to get me in trouble?
I'm gonna do I just don't want dead air, so I could ding,
Yeah.
ding, 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 ding,
You know what?
ding.
Fuck it. I'll go with Urka. It's my number one.
Hey. So
I
number 2 and 3. All right. You got that, Urka. So all the other models are shot with Theik. He hates you. He hates you all. He only wants to
look at
shoot.
this face. Look at this face and see this is now hostage situation. Hostage situation, bro. No.
It's the idea is like that. Sometimes we want to. We have a good starting point, and sometimes we just want to shout out the people that really push us through. Like I'm never shy about saying like if somebody's like, "Who's your favorite burlesque person?" It's like I can always say Tiger.
Fair.
I've never said 6 words to her too.
No, I mean, but so the thing is, the reason why with Urka in particular is because, like I said, we've gone through shit together. And she's like one of those people where, she has been one of the most consistent and reliable people in that part of my life, as well as being an immense talent and being someone who I can hang out with for hours. And not just that, but like, one of the most important things is simply showing up on time. Like, no, I mean, like, especially here in New York where everyone's so fucking busy and the trains suck and all that sort of shit. She's never been late for like any major shoot or even for minor shoots. She's like super punctual, but when she shows up, she's ready to rock and roll. We have our rapport is one of ease and comfort. Like we take care of each other, and that sort of thing, especially at the level that it's at, can only be developed over years and tons of shoots. So again, for everyone else who I dearly love, and I love you all so much, except for the ones I don't. I just like you a great deal. But for the ones who I love, like, it's not just like a shoot. Recently I shot with this amazing dancer, Emily. Super awesome. oh my God, like rapport, dopeness. It was so good, but we only did one shoot so far.
Yeah.
You know, it takes time to really develop like that kind of rapport, that kind of relationship, that kind of trust.
Yeah.
You know,
And people keep on saying that, sometimes when we shoot models or subjects, sometimes in a half naked, full naked kind of thing, it's all about how the model trusts the photographer.
word.
It goes both ways.
Oh, seriously.
I know it's not the time for men out there right now. It's like, rightfully so.
But how about this? Let me just quickly interject. Photographer being both men, women, and other.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about this, it doesn't have to be this binary of of male photographers and female models.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about photographer and model. I mean, that's real talk.
Yeah. You have to make us comfortable too.
Oh, word.
We're both in this together.
Oh, word.
And I will also admit that it is mostly harder for the subject because this is their thing.
Oh,
this
yes.
is their time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not their space.
Yeah.
They're very vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
But the idea is, hey, you have to do your part as well.
Word. I mean, speaking about this, because I've been thinking about this a lot too. It's like when you have someone come into your space. One thing that I wish more people did when this happens, just let me know you're bringing someone.
Oh, huh.
Because I've experienced this quite a bit, and especially as a young woman's coming to like some strange dude's apartment in Brooklyn. It's like, yeah, you gotta go make sure you're comfortable, make sure you're safe, for sure. And I know there's some photographers out there who are very adamant that they don't want anyone else in there. I'm not going, I don't believe in that.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I all I ask though for my comfort, you just let me know who the fuck is coming with you. That's it. That's it. Just let me know. I'm never gonna say no.
100%.
And I personally feel that if someone says no, you should think twice about that. I'm not saying to say no outright, but think twice and just ask, like, why is that, bro? Like, what's your trauma here? Because I mean, like, because the flip side of it is there are photographers out there who've been robbed, who've been beaten, who've been in bad situations because the model brought someone.
You're
toxic.
going to our home too.
Word.
And we also do have hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of equipment.
Dude,
so
that's real talk. I mean, like, when we're talking about how expensive these things are, I mean, like the part of the reason why we're broke is because we put our money towards this shit. Yeah.
And we all, again, and it's no different for everybody else. But different stories. Like I love when people bring people around because it gives me an opportunity to show them that this shouldn't be hard.
Oh, word. It shouldn't be
fun.
hard. Word.
One of my favorite models too is I'm gonna shout her out, Victoria Dombrowski.
Oh, fucking Victoria.
So,
shout out to Victoria.
Yeah, so here's the thing. It's unfair to shoot her. Very unfair. She's one of the most gorgeous people in the world.
Word.
But Tatiana Cott, shout out Tatiana, brought her to a shoot once, and I was shooting our kind of like dance, celebrating her reconstructed breast from cancer surviving kind of thing. So, and she was there, and one look at Victoria's like, "You're gorgeous. Take off your clothes." And then we shot, and it was amazing. And it's one of those things where this doesn't have to be weird. This can be fun. But you need, you can't do that for a shoot. Yeah. So it was like, I've been shooting Tatiana for 6 years now. Before mastectomy, after mastectomy, long hair, short hair, dance, act, whatever. So there's all this rapport. But, that's just goes to show where you're right. Relationships is two-way. You can't just, I can't just be professional. You have to be
a human being
too.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that one of the most important things especially for like really high pressure situations, it's like knowing who's got your back.
Yeah.
And if you have any control of the situation, bring in the people who you trust. You know,
Or especially, it usually is the same. The people that you trust are the ones that bring the best out of you. Can take
absolutely.
can extract the best out of you.
Yeah, but
And especially in a photography or artistic sense, you want those people around because you want to, if you're shooting like a fun shoot or shout out funshootpodcast.com. If you're shooting a fun shoot, you want somebody that makes you happy and provides levity. If you're shooting something a little bit more risque, you want somebody that will make you feel safe and trusting.
Word.
So
yeah, because I mean, you don't want to feel like you're being, going back to what we were talking about in the first part. You don't want to feel creepy. You also want to make sure that you've established a comfortable enough rapport where when you give a direction, that it is taken in the way that you intended it. I try to be very mindful of the kind of direction I give. Because some people can handle things that other people can't. You gotta feel it out, especially when it's a first person, or it's the first time you shot with someone. But if it's like someone you've been working with for years, they know you and you know them, you know their sense of humor. You can get away with not get away, but you can like as dark as your humor can get.
Yeah.
And everyone knows, this is completely in good fun. Yeah. Because you also, the flip side of that is you also know each other's boundaries really well.
Yeah. You know where to go, and that's straightforwardness.
Oh, absolutely.
And speaking where knowing where to go, the next segment of the podcast is where I ask my guests to send me their favorite image. Theik sent an image that I'd like him to describe, quite briefly, and I'll describe this as well. And the main point of this is, I want to know how and why people favorite certain things. So I'm going to spin my iPad around where I have my cheat notes. Show it to Theik. And then for the people watching on YouTube, it'll splash on your screen around here, but also for the people listening on the podcast service of your choice, just click on the episode description and this will pop up. It'll launch it to an Amazon site where you can have my database of images. So, Theik, what is this image and who's this image from and why is it your favorite?
Okay, so it's Richard Avedon. It is Stephanie Seymour and Marcus Schenkenberg, yeah. It is from it is an image from my favorite fashion editorial of all time. It's shot for Versace, like, God, I can't remember for what year. But what I love most about it is this beautiful, like it's perfect to me. It is high energy, high fashion. It is risque, and it's cheeky. By cheeky, what I mean by that is you have this stunning male model who's absolutely naked, and you have Stephanie Seymour who's like in this beautiful, I think knit dress, like completely covered from head to toe, beautiful boots. Love that. And the angles they're forming with each other, it's like beautiful weight sharing. It's dynamic. It's high energy. It's high fashion. It's everything, man. And it's also in the right kind of fucking black and white. Like the lighting itself is relatively simple. I would assume it's probably like just one big soft
85-inch moonlight kind of reflector kind of thing.
I mean, and oh my God,
parabolic.
It's just perfect to me. It is an image that shows me what my highest aspirations of a fashion photographer or an action photographer could be all in one. I mean, like seriously, like Marcus looks like he's a fucking Greek god, and Stephanie looks like just this. Oh my God, she looks like a goddess too. But there's something so great though about this almost flipped pairing of what you'd expect in a high fashion editorial where it's a naked man and a clothed woman. I mean, and it's so, oh my God, I can look at this and just love it all day. And God knows I've also copied ideas from this for dance shoots. Because of course I will. And I just love it. It's just, again, to me, it's perfect. It's perfect.
And the thing for me, somebody that doesn't do a lot of dynamic stuff, I don't know if they're dancing, I don't know if they're moving, I don't know if they're hanging from wires that are edited out. Oh shit, excuse me. But the image itself, it has the triangles, it has the curves, it has the lines. I love the blowing of the hair, and you're right with these flip dynamic of the guy is the one that is completely naked, and the girl is the one that's completely covered. So it has all of the stories within the image that kind of harks to an amazing photograph. And not knowing who these two people are, I would still look at them as like they are immensely powerful and amazing images.
Because I mean that's also part of it too. Because that's another one of the things that fascinates me. It's exploring power dynamics across multiple dimensions, be it across like gender roles, visual archetypes, expectations that we have culturally, socially. Like it's just, I mean, there's so much subtext, but most importantly for me is when you look at that shot, you just go, holy shit, that's fucking dope.
Yeah.
Like you can, you can go there and do the whole academic route and,
I like that.
Figure out all sorts of that shit. But frankly, to me, what matters most is it's so fucking dope.
Yeah. He's handsome. She's pretty. The shot is nice. The dress is great.
Yeah.
The body is dope. The hair is amazing. So even if you're somebody that doesn't know anything about anything, you look at the shots like there's something for you.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's always something that I like learning from the people's favorites.
Yep.
And I'm very happy that you share this shot. And I will again for the people. Let me post it on YouTube again one more time. Like, look at this. See that? See this?
It's so good.
See this? Right there. Right. So something that I asked my guests their favorite shots, but what I don't actively tell them is I also pick my favorite shots of them. Theik already had one shout out before when on my very, very first episode when one of my favorite people in the world, Sarah Hartshorn, I picked his photo or Sarah's headshot as a favorite. But in re-reviewing all of his stuff, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share two of my favorite shots of
boy,
Theik,
all that pressure.
or shots that Theik took. I'll let him describe it real quick, and I'll describe it. We'll do the old technical stuff too, and we'll do a quick discussion before we, try to close out this episode again. So I could not pick this shot for 1,000 different reasons, but quick Jong pick, Theik Smith photo number 1. Of course, we have to shout out.
Of course, to Sarah. Okay, so, all right. So there's lots of sentimental wonderfulness to this. So this was actually, if I remember correctly, this was over at Sarah's place. Actually, about a couple weeks before she got married. This was after she had her makeup and hair test for her wedding, and she was
very efficient,
immensely. We decided to shoot some testing / boudoir stuff. And remember the 55 millimeter lens I was talking about earlier? I believe I was shooting it on that.
Yeah.
And oh God, I remember after we did this shoot, I think it was like this moment where I had like simultaneously two reactions. The first one was, all right, I think I got some talent here. And 2, thank God I made up for our first shoot. Because our first shoot, I recently got the Nifty 50, but I also I didn't select the right aperture. So most of the shots were out of focus.
So then I think it's like if you get a prime lens, like put it all the way wide open. That's it.
Yeah. Experience tells you that. Inexperience just makes you go, I'll just make the camera go there and do my thinking for me. Yeah. So, but God bless Sarah, because she and I, like, we ended up working tons together, and we had like this really great rapport. And that day, like, there's still like that. I still love that shot. Like, and that was back in 2013, 2014. Like, I could look at it and be like, all right, cool. So here are the technical problems. But in terms of the feeling I have from it, especially like the expression, the lighting, like, and she just looks so beautiful as she does. Of course, this is before the blue hair, so
I actually prefer the blue hair.
Same here.
Go back to the blue hair. Come on.
Yeah, come on, bro. But yeah, no, I Oh, and of course, in terms of the lighting, it was just side lighting, if I remember correctly.
Did you strobe this? Is it,
No,
or
this was
natural
wait,
because
hold
it's,
on. Nope. Hey, look at that.
there seems like there's
I
a
remember now.
strobe.
No, this is before I got strobes.
Mm.
So instead, that was actually from a ring light
Oh,
that I put up. If I remember correctly, and it's been a long time. I probably went there and mixed lighting. So I probably did ambient that was coming through her window, as well as bringing up the for this was just the ring light. Later,
Yeah.
This was later on in the evening. So yeah, so that's just a ring light that was just mounted, and it was the camera right about a couple feet above her head.
The bokeh says that you were shooting like close to wide open.
Yeah.
Not strobed out. So the reason why I picked this because like if I were to pick a headshot that was as close to what I would like or what I could or what I would do, it's kind of this. Like I like all my shots are wide open. Let's say it's like I don't like it's getting focus away from the things that might draw too much attention.
Yeah.
So it's like boobs and butts and the JJs.
Yeah.
Centering it to the place where I love it the most, the face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I like the shot.
Thank you.
Sarah, you're still but again, I can't give you 1,000% credit because this is Sarah Hartshorn.
Oh, dude, I'll take 20%.
Yeah.
Everything else will just be her.
Yeah, it's she looks at you and you're done.
Oh, word.
That's why every time when we shoot, it's like I know it's more for me than her because like she just does amazing work. So, but this was a very amazing, tightly cropped, almost half body headshot. Again, like you mentioned, it was light camera right, slight bokeh, little sultry, little I don't know, like pig braided to a bun kind of here.
Yeah.
So it has a little bit of brightness and darkness in it. So everything that I wanted in the shot. So this is shout out Sarah for my share number 1, but my favorite number 2 from my re-review of Theik Smith's work is this particular photo. Well, I'm the reason why I picked this because this is if I were to make a Frankenstein's monster on what my favorite stuff that I could do and what Theik is amazing at is this particular photo. I love a lot of your shots.
Oh, thanks.
Gorgeous models, amazing dynamism. It's just everything that I wanted to shoot, but I might not have the space to do it.
Yeah.
But also, it's like if I started it right now, it's like, nah, it's like I'm not gonna be good. I'm good with my stuff. I can dick around with that more. But I picked this particular photo because if I could draw one thing that I love the most about your shots is you highlight and you advertise and you beautify and you express the strength of the female body, which is what I fucking love the most. Most men, and this was me a decade ago, are intimidated by strong women. That's the reason why we have all these problems right now. You try to put them down.
Word.
But you can't.
Word.
Because not only are they stronger than us, they're much more beautiful. So this shot is everything.
Oh.
All right. So I don't know who this is.
I do.
So I'm gonna let Theik describe it, so we can discuss it.
Okay.
In a couple of minutes.
You want to talk about like strong women? Shout out to Dana. Dana's one of the greats. Yeah, seriously, Dana's one of the fucking greats. She's amazing. Also, like, she's a genetic freak. Like, she has abs when she doesn't even mean to. Like, real talk.
I have an ab.
Right. I have a 6-pack underneath the beer gut right now. It's great. It's so great. I'm crying. But anyway, back to Dana. So this shoot. Wow, this was probably I think earlier this year or last year. I can't exactly remember, but it's like I actually really love the shot. It's this really great black and white where like the the highlights and shadows are exactly where I wanted them to be, that highlight like her powerful serratus muscles, her lats, her shoulders, and of course her abs. It's a closer crop, closer than what I usually do.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you know, hey man, sometimes you're looking at a shot and realize the composition is actually there. And God, she just looks powerful and beautiful and amazing. And also, I have to go and pat myself on the back because that's some great dodging and burning. Good job, man.
No.
Oops, sorry.
No problem.
And when I say so for those who don't know what dodging and burning is, it's a process digitally that's just like lightening lights and darkening darks. And in terms of like a little bit of my secret sauce when I shoot, like, you know, when it comes to helping to emphasize musculature, like a little bit of dodging and burning does not hurt. But your lighting has to be tight though. Cause I mean, my light was really good for her. How did I light this? I know it's a 3-light setup. I know that for sure.
One in the back for sure.
Oh, 2 in the back. Cause when I say
left and right.
Yeah, left and right. So that way I can have like the background.
And you flag your shots too.
Yep.
So that's the thing that I could never do because 1, I don't have flags. 2, I don't have space for flags.
Yeah, no, but I mean,
if I put flags, there's nothing left in my shot.
Word. It's like cool. So here's about 6 inches, and that's about it. So what I have are these V flats actually.
V flat. Fucking sponsor me a couple of those. I just need 2.
Word. I would love those because I actually made mine out of. I mean, as you should. I made mine out of 2 4x8 V flats. 2x8 black boards. Sorry. Yeah, exactly. It's the 4x8 styrofoam boards. I went there and stripped off the coating off of one side, painted that black, kept the silver on another, and then that way when they open up, I have silver, 2 whites, and 1 black. Yeah. So you've got the black on either side to flag the light, so that way the background highlights hit. And then I was probably shooting with my strip box overhead angled slightly outside of the subject, so when the light falls and we have like, you know, this beautiful mottling of the light that's hitting all the right spots. And again, those are serratus muscles, kids. Those aren't ribs. Like Dana's a powerhouse. Like you see her in person, holy shit. And she's tiny. Like that's one of the really interesting things about shooting dancers. You know, in pictures in particular, like you shoot them right, they look as powerful as they are, but in real life in the world, you're going, oh, you're like 5'1".
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, with a certain pair of pants, you could never assume that they could break you in half.
Word. Oh my God. Yeah. And you know, one of the things I like to proselytize, well, practically anyone, but especially dancers, I'm like going, have you ever decided to do martial arts, you'd murder people like easily.
100%.
Because like you've got all the physical agility that you could possibly ever want. Like they're like 5th degree black belts that would love to move like you. And Dana's like one of those people. She's just so powerful and sleek and she's an amazing model. Like I really can't stress that enough. She really is one of the greats. Yeah. And I think that was just her kind of doing like a bit of a crunch. It wasn't even like something like technically difficult. She just was there, flexing correctly.
And that's exactly why I picked it, because this is a pose that anybody could do. And the good thing with this particular, you know, most people do this crop when we're trying to do bodyscapes or, you know, implied nudes, art nudes, a lot of high key and darks, you know, photography out there where they're trying to practice. And this is kind of a standard pose, but this was done in a way where the muscles that you don't even realize that you have muscles at, you know, be kind of close to the trap towards the ribs are there. This is a pose when you're doing a crunch, you are basically putting all of the skin towards the middle of your body. And most people, when they do a crunch, they have flaps, which is also beautiful in its way. There's no flaps here.
Oh, yeah.
0 flaps. You have that sheen from either oil or sweat.
Definitely will.
Yeah. And, you know, there's this mystery because it's cropped so closely that you don't see the face. You can look at her. She can be the most beautiful girl, or she can be the most manliest looking girl, but it really doesn't matter because what you see is just like lines and mountains and curves and highlights and lowlights. And it's kind of, there's so many stories that you could look at it. But also, it's like this is something that you can't do with any model.
Oh no.
You can't just like, hey, I'm gonna scrunch and just shoot my torso and let's
Right.
see what happens.
Yeah.
No, you can't edit the perfection here.
I mean, at least I can't, because that's certainly outside of my skill set. But when it comes to something like this, when we're especially in this age of body positivity and and especially like more and more women seeing these images of other people who look more like them.
Yep.
Trying to empower them to feel good about themselves. A lot of people still get left behind, I feel. And I think that especially when it comes to like, someone with like Dana's build and her musculature, outside of just like, my general opinion that this is gorgeous, that I think that strength and power in and of itself is just so aesthetically beautiful and all that good stuff. I think that it's good for more people, both men and women, to see that this is beautiful.
100%.
Because especially like you're talking about, like, like a decade ago, like you might have been intimidated by something like this, and I think that if you can look at this and go, oh my God, like this is beautiful, like this is, to you, like sexy or it's attractive or whatever the case may be, then it also helps you like be less intimidated. We're like going, hey man, like bodies are just built this way, yeah.
I mean, springing from what you mentioned, it's like it's good that we or more people are just showing more versions of their type of beauty. Because in the end, your taste is your taste.
Yep. Absolutely.
I like, I'm a tiny guy.
Mm-hmm.
For most of my life, it sucks being the short Asian dude, especially he's like fucking in New York. No matter how many dates I said, like, I love hanging out with you, but you're too short for me.
Ooh, Jesus.
But that's the idea. It's like, only it's because along their life, they thought that height was the thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Conversely, for women, they want, they imagined or they felt that being the subordinate, meek, soft looking is the one, the thing that most people like. But in the end, no. Some guys will like meek looking women. Some girls will like tall looking guys. But there are men out there that will like appreciate strength.
Oh, but I mean, but more importantly though, it's a matter of that woman who's taught, to be meek and subordinate.
Yeah.
That's not who she is.
No.
And to be able to, like, on the surface level, sure, find people who appreciate that. That's great in and of itself, awesome. But I think what's most important is that, that person finds that they would just prefer to be themselves, and fuck anyone who doesn't appreciate them for that.
Yeah.
Like
that is the sexiest thing. Is if a woman finds any person, like both men and women, if they find who they are, that's where they exude the most sexiness throughout the world.
Dude, confidence and authenticity all the fucking way.
Sometimes, being shy and not confident is the one that, you got like that.
Word. Because I mean, like, look, at least you're being honest about it.
Honesty is the 100% thing. And the thing I like about your work is that's my preference. I like on my end, it's like breaking the mold. People think that because I'm short, I like petite women. No. Because I'm Asian, I like Asian women. No. I like the tallest, most Amazonian woman that I could find.
Respect to that.
Because like I'm comfortable with my masculinity. I'm okay if my woman is my bodyguard.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't need to be I don't need to be the brawn of this relationship.
Yeah.
Hey, if my woman is the tall, strong looking white woman that I would prefer, yeah, cool.
Word.
Yeah, and I'll be the one cleaning the apartment and vacuuming and folding clothes. Again, it's 2019. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses.
Word, and we can also be more honest with our preferences.
100%.
Like when we're talking about, especially like say, we're having these conversations about say toxic masculinity, and I think about these things very deeply because, as a fight choreographer, I'm a student of violence, which means that I'm a student of shit that's as real as it gets. And I think that in this day and age, when we're talking about the role of men, especially within the context of, finding our emotional sensitivity, as well as preserving some sense of, that protector ethic that we're supposed to have. I think that part of that give and take now is, in finding our emotional vulnerability, we can be honest about what the fuck we want out of life. We can be honest about what we need from a partner, and those needs aren't, they're not the bullshit like, oh yeah, I prefer them to be like whatever with this kind of bust line and this kind of ass and blah blah blah. It's more like, no, I want someone to laugh at my jokes.
Yeah.
And I want,
and that doesn't exclude that boobs and the ass and the face that you like.
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't exclude anything.
No.
But instead, though, it's about a real emotional resonance.
Exactly.
Where you can be like, no, seriously, I want someone who gives a shit about the same things I do in terms of how I want to raise kids, how I want to go there and deal with my finances, how I want to build a life together, or even if I want to have my life, I want them to have their life, and I want us to convene from time to time and figure it out. I think that's dope. And I think that especially when it comes to women, it's like, we live in this really weird transitional time where, on one hand, we're having a reckoning of what has been going on for decades, where people have otherwise just been told to shut the fuck up and pretend that it hasn't happened and all that sort of stuff. But now we're able to say things out loud and be able to have people be held more accountable.
Yep.
Part of me says I sound like a good New York liberal, but but it's not just the accountability, but it's also like trying to reconcile deep-seated pain.
Yeah.
But on the other side of that too is like in being more honest. You can be honest about what you want to be, who you want to be, and who you want to be with. Because, so many women, don't get me wrong, I'm really happy I'm 6'1", because at least I didn't have to worry about being short, but I had to worry about other things. I had to worry about, being a tall black dude. I had to worry about the birthmark. I had to worry about not having very much money. I had to worry about, being a weird dude, And what I realized is that the most important thing you can do is understand that you're weird. Find people who are weird, who are as weird as you. And some of my best friends and some of the women I've dated, and God knows, my girlfriend, we're weird as piss, super weird.
Shout out
to Taryn again. And one of the things that she values about a relationship is that she can be as weird as she actually is with me. And if you saw her in person, you'd be like, oh, she's tall and brassy and can bust people's balls and she's awesome and super sweet, but she's weird as fuck.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing about what I like about the modern days right now. It's like artists like you, hopefully the art that I've been trying to do as well is, shedding a light where we try to take down barriers that will impede you to what is really what you really want. Yeah. So it's like, I hate it when, my personal experiences, it's always about my ethnicity. It's always about my height. But, in the early days, I would say so you would rather date or be with a person that is a fuck up, that is tall, rather than me, who has a job that will never fire me in a 401k.
Ooh.
So, I mean, but that's just the salty me. But in the end, it's like, if you want that dude, have that dude. If you want that girl, have that girl. But now it's just like, we have art forms and media to share that there are a wide variety of avenues for you to really see if what you really want is X, Y, or Z.
Well, I mean, on top of that, it's also their preferences don't necessarily reflect anything upon you.
100%.
Because I mean, Like, God knows we've all been rejected. And we've all been rejected for like the exact same things. It's that person's preference. And you know, speaking about going back a decade, one thing I wish I could tell, like, you know, my younger self, it's like, bro, really, it's not about you. Like, don't get me wrong. There's certainly moments when you do fuck up.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about something arbitrary, you know, where it's, you know, like, I wish I went there and dated taller guys, or I wish I dated like, or I wish that you were taller, or I wish that, you know, you're more fit or whatever, because that applied to me too. It's also like, or this was also the funky thing that I bumped into. I prefer more aggressive, more manly guys, you know. How am I supposed to take that? And the answer to that is simple. Like, oh, that's just her preference.
Yeah.
That's got nothing to do with me. You know, that's not who I am, and I can't pretend to be that person.
You're allowed your preferences. My only hope has always been, you know, that's why I try to share as many stories about as many interesting people that I know, is because I hope that your preference does not impede you to greatness. Because everybody can be, you know, everybody can be shown something a little different. And different doesn't mean better. Different doesn't mean worse. Different just means different.
Word.
Like, you know, it's you know, I've been privy to a lot of times when, you know, I see a show, I talk with people. It's like, holy fuck, you're so fucking weird. Why am I here? I'm scared right now. And then there are other times where I will say the exact same words, but in a different tone. It's like, holy fuck, you're so weird.
Yeah.
Why have I not been here?
Word.
The rest of my life.
Word.
So those are the things that, you know, everybody that has a certain passion or a certain hobby who's trying to educate other people with the things that they like. It's just share your passions, only because there's that 1 in 100 people that might not have realized what they were looking for. So.
Word. I mean, but you know what, though? I think, you know, as we're getting older, at least for me, it's kind of like, I don't need to be too concerned about that other person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like, and on top of that, hopefully, and I know for sure this has happened to you, this has happened to me. It's more for like that person listening who might not feel that way. There is such a thing as tribe. Your tribe's out there, and maybe you're not seeing your tribe around you yet, but give it a little bit of time, and you know, obviously learn how to be a little bit more sociable. That certainly doesn't hurt, but you will find your tribe. You'll find those people who are the right kind of weird, the right kind of you that reacts well, and if you have faith in that, and the hard times are gonna fade away quite fast when you find those other weird fuckers. And you're gonna have yourself a grand old time, and you're gonna make some lifelong friends, like people who get you and you get them, and that matters more than anything else.
Don't be a dick.
Oh,
be kind.
Oh God, yes.
Find your tribe.
Word.
I don't think we could end this podcast any better. So
right. Don't be a dick. Be kind.
Yeah. Again, I'd really like to thank Theik for you know, his time and his energy and his wisdom with all the things that he have shared to me and to the people that are listening to right now. So before we end, Theik, let people know where they can find you, where they can stalk you, and where they can support your work.
Well, you can find me at Theik Smith Photography, Theik smithphotography.com, and my Instagram is at theikphoto, TheikPhoto. And that's about it. Oh, and actually, here's one really quick shout out. One thing that I am becoming very passionate about. It's about endometriosis. So for any woman out there who's listening and you're having like ungodly pains when it comes to your periods or anything around that, look up endometriosis and start seeing if you have any of those signs. And if you do, go to a specialist. Don't go to your OBGYN directly unless you're going to get like a referral. go to a specialist to get checked out, because endometriosis is a motherfucker. But the best way to battle it from the onset is to talk to someone who knows what they're talking about.
Get ahead of your endometriosis.
Word.
That is Theik Smith, movement photographer, fight choreographer. Overall, just cool guy.
Thank you.
Again, we had a really good 2 episodes with him. I hope you had a great time as well. But apart from saying thank you to Theik, I'd really like to thank you, the listener, again,
Thank
for
you so
just
much.
like being with us. And this is the Fun Shoot Podcast. We will have new episodes most Wednesdays on all your favorite podcasting apps. If you're listening through iTunes, Apple Podcasts, we would love it if you would subscribe, rate, and review. It'll greatly help the future of the content. You can visit the Fun Shoot Podcast at jongclemente.com/funshoot or bit.ly/funshootpodcast. Please follow the podcast Twitter and Instagram and shout us out. Do that, heart thingy and, leave comments at Fun Shoot Podcast. Send us comments and questions if you have follow-ups for Theik, either the photography sense, their fight choreography sense, just overall endometriosis sense. Email us at funshootpodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to participate, you can leave a voicemail at 347-934-9594, and we will feature it at an appropriate time. Thank you again. I hope you guys are enjoying July. I hope you're enjoying summer. And we will see you back again here at the Fun Shoot Podcast with me,